Hello, tonight we read in Genesis 16 and Proverbs 17. So in Genesis 16, they were talking about Sarah and how she wanted Abraham to be with her slave. And yeah.
And she pretty much put the situation in her own hands, and she gave Hagar, her slave, to her husband Abram. And of course, that was the first mistake, because in verse 2 it said that the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. But don't we know, when the Lord restrain us from certain situations, if we trust God, it's for our own good. We might not see it, we might not understand it, but when He restrains us from going to a certain place or taking on a certain occupation, or perhaps a mate, or not letting us experience this or that, He's restraining us. And for us to be able to rest in His presence and just to bless His name in the restraining period is a blessing. Yeah. Because when we go outside of His will, wow, can we make a mess? How many people can attest to that through the years? But with His mercy and grace, He still can turn around that situation for our good, and it still can be a blessing out of our messing. And Hagar saw that even though she was rejected, even though she started despising and being resentful towards Sarai for even putting her up to that situation, Hagar saw that later on, that she saw that the Lord supplied her even in that situation. It said in verse 13 and 14, "Thou God seest me." And how many times can we say that, even in the times when we feel rejected, when we feel low, when we feel despised, when we're in a negative situation, God still sees us, and we're able to see His hand of mercy and grace, and He supplies all of our needs. And it says, "Have I also here looked after him that seeth me? Am I able to witness? Yes. Wherefore the well, this place, was called Bir La Haroi," means that God sees me. God supplies my needs. He is Jehovah Jireh. And we can even say that right now. So even though Hagar was about to give birth to a son who, Ishmael, that was his name, he was one who was wild, and he would fight this and that and this person, that, the Lord still graced Hagar to be blessed in that situation. And the Lord will still continue to bless us, even in difficult circumstances. If we acknowledge Him, if we trust Him, if we go to Him, He will supply our every need. What do you have to say about that? In any negative situation, God will be right there, and He can turn around the most desperate situations, and we can learn even in the darkest moments. Oh yeah, I've seen that. Well, what about Proverbs 17? I think you were saying verse
5.
5.
Whoever makes fun of a poor person insults his maker. Whoever is happy to see someone's distress will not escape. And yeah, people don't really make fun of poor people. Not that I know of, but actually, yeah, sometimes they do. But you just know that's wrong. But the second part is more like the part that people forget sometimes. Like, I find myself watching a lot of fights, like the UFC, and stuff like that. And when I like think about it, it's kind of like sick that I'm getting entertainment from people like breaking each other's arms, like their jaws and stuff like that, like knocking each other out. And I feel like it's become so normal to see that type of thing and to be entertained by it. And it reminds me of like the days of the Gladiator when they would like fight to the death, and it's like um, that's not really like the type of entertainment that I want to have. That's not the that's not how I want to uh, bring pleasure to myself, or like, yeah. So just want to be conscious when I might be guilty of doing that second part of that verse.
That's beautiful, Timotheus. And later on in that chapter, it talks about how a merry heart. That's when you fill yourself up with that type of violence and pain, it numbs, it makes you're without feeling. And then you'll see that you don't have that joy. You see the word joy all over the neighborhood. You know, it's a happy time. It's a Merry Christmas time. This is not the time to just be depressed and seeing people destroyed, because a broken spirit drieth the bones. No, you want to be resilient. You want to be happy. You want to be merry. You want to spread the love of God. Amen. So let's just make sure that we trust God, and let's fill our heart, soul, and mind with the hope of the season, and stay merry. Have a good one.